Every once in a while, I come across a product that I think, God damn, that's a fine piece of mini PC. And while it's pretty rare to happen, today is the day, my friends, and I'm going to explain why, right after this message. The Asus Rec Expert Screen Recorder is an all-in-one solution for recording everything on your screen, whether it's online meetings, gameplay, tutorials, and more. Rec Expert supports 4K and 60 FPS in various video formats, and there are plenty of additional features, including a simple video editor to clean up your recording. Give it a test run with a link in the video description. Reatan's Alloy 9 mini PC has been in development for a long time. In fact, I was told the original release date was August, but additional time was spent tweaking and tweaking to get performance up to snuff. And it really shows. This is one of the most impressive mini PCs to ever land on my desk. It's like someone actually listened to the feedback from my audience and myself over the years and did their best to address as many of them as possible. The Reatan Alloy 9 is a premium mini PC featuring AMD's flagship mobile processor, the Ryzen 9 7940HS. A 1TB NVMe drive is included, as is 32GB of DDR5 memory and Windows 11 Pro for $699 US. Although when I added it to cart, a first-time purchase coupon was automatically applied, bringing it down to $675 US. Nice one, brother. The Alloy 9 features a pristine metal case with a simple, sleek design. It's very Apple-like. Only the bottom cover is plastic to let the Wi-Fi signal come through. It's a super solid mini PC and feels like, well, quality. Now before we go into the features and benchmarks, I'm sure you're all eager to see how this integrated graphics beastie performs with the latest AAA games. Fair enough, me too. So let's start with Starfield. By default, the game throws on FSR2 image upscaling and the low quality preset. That gives us around 60 FPS at 1080p. Without FSR2 image upscaling enabled, it's around 45 FPS average. Not bad? Not bad at all. Alan Wake 2 is a graphics powerhouse, and that makes even the latest and greatest iGPU fall to its knees and get beaten over the back with a kendo stick. Only 20 FPS with a low preset. And yes, that's with FSR2 enabled. If I drop it to 720p, it's now almost a steady 30 FPS and becomes playable. So let's try adding an eGPU on the USB 4 port. With an RTX 3070, DLSS enabled and 1080p high settings, it's only getting around 30 FPS. There's a bottleneck here, and it's likely the limited USB 4 bandwidth. We'll check out some more games and emulators shortly. In the box is the manual, power supply, HDMI, and a couple of spare feet. The Alloy 9 comes with dual USB 4 40GB capable of 8K 60Hz video output, an audio jack, and reset hole on the front. On the back is a barrel jack connector, dual HDMI ports capable of 4K 60Hz, Realtek 2.5GB LAN, and 4 USB 3 10GB ports. I did manage to power this mini PC with one of the USB 4 ports if that's your preference. It's okay, I don't judge too much. Killer Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3 is included. One cool feature with the Reatan Alloy 9 is the dual fan design. We have seen this before, but the second fan on this one is much beefier. So let's take a look at it. The feet are thankfully not glued on and pop off easily enough. Then there are 4 screws to remove. The bottom lid is not as easy. You can try and open it by shoving in a small screwdriver in the screw hole as leverage, or maybe a fingernail on the side if you've got one, or use a suction cup like the one Reatan provided me to pop open the lid, which makes it easy. As always, watch out for the wireless cables. Okay, so there's a nice big fan and heatsink for both the memory and storage. 4 screws to remove it, and ta-da! We have access, boyo. Crucial DDR5 5600 memory is included with one module having a heatsink and the other gets fan coverage. That just gives me the warm and fuzzies down below. Alexa NM620 1TB drive is included, which is only Gen 3. I will test it, but I want to see if both M.2 slots are Gen 4 capable. So I'm going to add this Eddie Loca Gen 4 drive I was sent to benchmark. It even comes with an M.2 screw, heatsink, and screwdriver. Handy. If this drive was a woman, I'd marry it. Okay, so that leads us into the benchmarks. In single core, Reatan's Alloy 9 performs just like a 7940HS should. It's one of the fastest mobile CPUs available. In multi-core, we have a new winner. winner. There are 2 scores as the Alloy 9 has 2 modes in the BIOS, balanced and performance, which means double the testing. Yay. Performance mode adds a bit of grunt, but also ups power draw and fan noise. In Cinebench multi-core, it's just 2% faster. With balance mode, there's a 5% improvement over the Beelink Sur 7, which is the next best result. Intel holds the video encoding crown, but the Alloy 9 isn't far behind. There was a 3% improvement with the performance mode. The Alloy 9 takes first place in the graphics benchmark, 2% better score over the Sur 7, and in DX12, 4%. Not a big increase, but it's something. As mentioned earlier, the included Lexa NVMe storage drive is Gen 3, but happy to report the 2 M.2 slots are Gen 4 if you need the extra sequential read and write speeds. The Ediloka EN855 500GB I tested performs nicely, is PS5 compatible, has TLC NAND flash and DRAM cache with a 5-year or 350TB written warranty. Find it linked in the video description. Windows 11 Pro is included, and Ubuntu seems to work fine on most minis, and this one didn't have any issues when I booted off a USB drive. I have tested the 7940HS before with 4K video editing. It works pretty well, just be aware that Intel CPUs have hardware decoding for a few video formats, and are generally better suited for the task thanks to better driver and software support from the popular video editing suites. If video editing is your main concern, you might want to look at Intel instead. Right, back to some games. If League of Legends is your jam, then you'll be happy to hear the Reatan Alloy 9 will get you 400 to 500 frames per second at 1080p very high. Get that 480Hz display out and become that esports champion you've always dreamed of, or something. Okay then, now we're pitting the Simply Nuck R9 versus the Beelink Sur 7 and Reatan Alloy 9. All three are pretty similar in Valorant. The Alloy 9 takes a big lead in Forza Ryzen 5, like almost a 20% lead. In Elden Ring, it's basically tied with the Sur 7. The Alloy 9 has a 5% lead in Cyberpunk. Same in God of War. Just note, none of these games are using FSR2 for an accurate comparison. With Wii U emulation, the Sur 7 came out on top. Not sure why. Maybe the latest version of Cemu sees some performance regression, because with PS3 emulation, the Alloy 9 is ahead.
Race complete.
Alright, so apart from Forza Ryzen 5, the difference between the Beelink Sur 7 in gaming isn't all that much. However, let's look at some other important data. CPU temp at default was the same as the Sur 7, but it was lower with performance mode. How is that possible? Well, the fan speed shoots up with performance mode. I personally recommend the balance mode as you don't lose much performance and it ends up being one of the quietest high-end minis tested. The included Lexar drive kept cool at 47C. No controller temp sensor on this drive, but the Eddie Loca SSD never went above 54C on all 3 of its temp sensors. Nice. Idle power draw at 9 watts is about right, and max power draw depends on the power mode. So with me being biased towards low fan noise, it makes the Reatan Alloy 9 a real winner, thanks to its excellent dual cooling solution. Of course, it needs to have the performance and features to back it up, and it does that too. So let's summarize. Reatan's Alloy 9 has one of the cleanest mini PC designs around, and it's almost entirely metal. Cooling is excellent and covers the CPU, memory, and storage. Dual M.2 Gen 4 slots are included. Performance is great from the flagship CPU, the best recorded in my tests. Fan noise with the default balance mode is one of the lowest I've tested. But I would have liked to see a Gen 4 NVMe drive bundled instead of the Gen 3. There's no bare bones option for the DIY crowd, and there's also no monitor mount if you need it. Overall, it's the best mini PC I've tested this year, and a banging way to end on. It's become very clear now that other brands have surpassed Intel's mini PC efforts with the NUC in both engineering and design, and this one is a prime example. But if you are curious of my top 5 mini PCs before this review, you can check out my video right here. Cheers!